about the speaker. Uh, Today we have with us Mrs. Anjana Devastale. She is a horticulturist by profession. She practices zero budget farming. That is something very interesting. She is like one of the directors of Ran Wangli Foundation. This foundation works on the skill development of the forest neighboring villages. Basically, Ran Mangli is a village which is located on the corridor of Tadoba and Umred Karandla Wildlife Sanctuary. That is such a crucial area to work in. We hope to learn today a lot from you, Anjana. It's over to you.
Good evening, all. Today I'm going to discuss about, I'm not going to discuss, I'm just going to tell my practical experience about transforming windows into farms. Now, all of us who are staying in Mumbai have this problem of not having space to do gardening. Now, had we been in a smaller place, we would perhaps have had the whole land, or we would have had terraces, or we would have had balconies, or we would have had, a decent place to have gardens. But like me, I'm sure most of you, not all of you, some of you must be lucky like Shreya to have a nice bungalow and place around it. But for most of us, like I stay in an apartment on the 10th floor, and I have no place, I have no terrace, no balcony. So my windows, I have transformed my windows into farms. Now it's my choice that I want to grow something, but you could even transform them into places where you can attract butterflies or birds or honeybees or anything. So my feature basically is to grow food for ourselves and also food for honeybees. A lot of flowers that I've planted, a lot of vegetables that I've planted, they attract a lot of honeybees. They attract very pretty sting bees, stingless bees. So it's the thing is that whatever little space you have, whatever little sunlight that you get, we must utilize the whole thing. And transforming the windows into gardens or into not just a farm but into gardens would bring us that much closer to nature, and we can create our little sanctuaries where we have even birds. Like I have 15 different species of birds that come to my windows just because they have transformed them into green spaces. So from a distance, when the birds see some greenery, they naturally get attracted. A lot of butterflies come. uh, my focus today is going to be about how we can grow food in the windows. Now, when I say I've transformed it into farms, when I say I've transformed it into farms, the farms that I have transformed it doesn't actually, that it doesn't mean that in my lockdown I have never gone to the bhajiwala. I have, but what some little things I can harvest them for myself, and more than getting substantial yield from them, I'm very happy about the whole process. Otherwise the life is so hectic. But when it comes to farming or when it comes to gardening in the little space, even the small things like germination of seeds and the plant growing, so that's a process which nature takes its own time. Okay, so let's we if you have questions, we'll address them at the end of the webinar or end of my session. But please write down your questions and then we'll address them. So when I say a journey from home waste to farm vegetables, let me tell you something about that. We stay in a large joint family and we are typically vegetarians, so we generate a lot of waste. Okay, so all the waste that we grow for the past 17 years, we have been a zero waste home. We have not given the Safai Wala any kachra. So we use the kachra in different ways. I have 4 different ways of composting, and I use the compost because typically when I say that farm, when you are growing in on the 10th floor, and when we will be growing in small pots, and when we are growing in small pots, we have to have a very rich soil. If we do not have a rich soil, then the plants will not grow. So when you think of growing in small pots, you have to have compost in some. It could be homemade or it could be bought out. So you have to have compost. That is the underlying statement. That is the most important thing that you need to have. Right. So we have initially I started with 2 windows, which was 1.5 by 10 feet. but slowly and steadily, as my plants started growing, I have two species of plants in my home. So it's like a mini nature trail that you can be conducted in the house. So uh, I have two windows which are facing east. So I get nearly 4 to 5 hours, 4 hours of sunlight in the morning. And my plants are doing excellent in that kind of sunlight. We'll be talking about sunlight because that is one very crucial element to discuss. Okay. Now, uh, all the garbage, the kitchen waste that we generate is converted into compost, and that is used for the gardens. So as we move further, I'll be telling you about the kind of compost and the requirement and how much compost is to be added and how it turns out. Yeah. So basically, I'll just tell you, all of you I'm sure know about composting, but let me tell you that I use all kind of compost, but I do not, but typically when I have to use watermelon peels, because in composting they release a lot of water. So I dry them, air dry them, and then I put it in the compost. Otherwise, the volume is too much and they liberate a lot of moisture in the form of water. So people are not very comfortable, then it may create a stink. In some bins, I have earthworms because, but I generally don't rely on much on earthworms because earthworms, are little dicey. That sometimes they drown in water if there's a lot of water, or they dry if there is less water. Biocomposting is a better option, and biocomposting works very well. So biocomposting basically means using cultures. Now, the moment I tell about cultures, people would say, where should I buy the cultures from? So when you're composting, like you can see on the left-hand side, that's all my kachra that I've collected. And I use cultures from home. Now, the cultures from home can be the buttermilk is one culture. Then dahi, the dahi vessel that you have, wash that and put that on the compost. It composts very well. Then I have milk pot. Then I have the idli dosa batter pot. So all the good bacteria, all the good fungus that we generate at home, that we have to use as a culture. You don't actually need any other culture than this. Okay. And you can see on the right hand side, the beautiful compost that is ready. So people, have this fear that what if I start composting, then it might stink, it might create a dirty smell, and then the people at home will complain. Then the people people in the, all over, it'll raise a stink. But that doesn't really happen because if you start off, just start off, today itself, if you want to start, you can start off with Nirmalya. And Nirmalya is all the flour waste that you make. So the flour waste is very, very easy to decompose, very easy to decompose. It doesn't raise a stink. And on one more thing good about this Nirmalya is all these flowers that we use for puja, they are very medicinal. Almost all the flowers are medicinal. Like even all the leaves that you use for puja are medicinal. So when you use those leaves for composting, they actually make the soil good. They don't attract flies. So you can start off with this or mix your Nirmalya with the compost. If you want to compost well, you have to ensure that there is aeration. मतलब हवा उसमें खेलनी चाहिए. So you have to move it. Don't make it clumpy. Don't make it very hard. Keep it aerated. The moment you start keeping it aerated, then the compost will not stink. They will not raise, and then the compost cycles are very, you can even make it in small mitti ke pots, and you can have a range of pots, have 3-4 pots, and when you have 3-4 pots, one is filled, cover it and start with the next pot, and then by the time the 4th pot is ready, the first pot will be ready to use as a manure for the plants. Fine. Yeah. Now, when we start gardening, and this is a very simple thing. I'm sure this slide looks very childish to all of you, but these are certain important things that we need to know, right? Now, first most important thing is sunlight. Now, again, we all know sunlight is because we have learned in school that plants need water, they need sunlight, they need carbon dioxide. But how much sunlight, perhaps we didn't know when we were growing up. So how much sunlight do we require the plants that, now I'm going to talk particularly about vegetable plants. If you're going to have plants which are going to bear fruits, like fruits in the sense brinjal, bindi, or karela. So all these plants would require more sunlight. They require at least 4 hours of sunlight. But something like palak would require less sunlight. Okay, so now when you're trying to grow something, we always say, we go to the nursery and then we bring the plant, and then the plant doesn't flower. It has the first flower that comes with good. After that, the plants don't flower. Then we think that usko nursery wale ne humko fasaya. It is not fasaya. It's, we went to the nursery looking out for something that we liked. But we have to also think, what would the plant like? How much sunlight does the plant? For example, let's get into a very common rose plant. Now, sometimes we go to the nursery and we buy a nice rose plant, and that rose plant, first time that you bring it, the kali is there or the flower is there, and it flowers very well. But after a few months, you think that no, it's not flowering at all. Only the first flower. So is that plant good, or was it not good? Now what happens is that the first flower was there because it got enough sunlight. If your house doesn't receive that much sunlight, then there is no point trying to grow some flowers like this, which require a lot of sunlight. So before going to the nursery, you have to observe for a few days that how much sunlight does my garden space, it could be a balcony, window, terrace, whatever, how much sunlight does it receive in the day. Okay. So now, like I told you in the beginning, I have a garden, or I have a window that is facing the east side. So I get 4 hours of sunlight in the morning every day. Another window of mine is facing the north. That does not get any sunlight at all. So I'm not trying to grow, or I'm not growing some ambitious things in my north window. But in my north window, I can think of growing some leafy vegetables, because they grow well in less sunlight. So first thing, make a point to know which side is your window facing. It could be even facing east or west or north or south, but what happens is that there is another big tree around there, or there could be a building, which is trying to put sunlight on the stopping the sunlight from reaching my window space. So again, observe how many hours of sunlight does my window receive. Perhaps if you're facing the west or south, it gets lot of direct sunlight. North will not, it will be well lit, but it will not get direct sunlight. So first thing, very easy, but sunlight is a very important thing. Second thing is pots. Okay, now when I tell someone that start gardening, so then they say, oh, but gamla nahi hai, we don't have a pot. But pot is just a container. I want to show you a pot. Okay. One second, I'll just show you a pot. Okay. Now this is a pot. This is a pot, right? But a pot is not a pot if it does not have holes at the bottom. Can you see these big holes? The pot should have very, very big holes at the bottom. You can use any container. Even something like this can be used as a pot. Okay. This is just a coconut shell, but it has holes at the below. It has a big hole. So the hole should be so big. Hole is the biggest thing that is important. If you don't have a pot, you can use a dabba, you can use an oil can which can be cut into half and made holes below, or you can use old containers, you can use any bartan which can be made into holes. Whatever you use, it should have holes. That is again a very primary thing, and most people don't look into it. And then what happens, the hole is the one that gives you drainage. It ensures that your plant will not be standing in stagnant water, right? Then seeds, we'll talk about seeds. Manure, again, you can be generating your own manure or you can be buying. So we generally buy soil, khad and mitti, but we need to also buy something like coco peat. Coco peat makes the soil very, very airy. So it doesn't clamp the soil, it doesn't make the katta types. So you, along with soil and manure, it would be great if you add your own compost, or you can be adding something like coco peat or you can be buying something like vermicompost. So whatever is there, the soil that you make should be very friable. It should be very soft. It should not become one hard stiff that, because the roots cannot grow if it is too hard. So you need to have something like this. Now, these are the pots. When I have pots like these, I grow something like microgreens. Okay. So microgreens basically will go to microgreens later, but these have a very short life cycle. So but if I try to grow a brinjal or something in it, it will not grow. Something like brinjal or bhindi would require a larger pot. Now this pot that I've brought out and taken a picture, which is growing these big brinjals, is a 12-inch pot. Okay, so when you go to the market now, if I tell you big pot, so you would not know how much big. So you have to know that it is a 12-inch pot is a standard size. Now this 12-inch pot basically is height is 12-inch and the diameter is 12-inch. So that is a standard size. If you go beyond that, good, it's very good. But again, you have to see where am I going to keep the pot. Okay. Now, if in my window, I can't hang a pot which is bigger than this. So if you're going to garden in a window, 12 inch is good. But if you're going to if you have a large terrace place for gardening, then you can go in for larger the better. When the pot becomes larger, you can grow 2-3 plants in it. Now in my 12-inch pot, I can grow only one brinjal plant. Okay. So whatever container you use, you have to see that it has drainage hole. That is the most important thing. Yeah. Now, when we think of seeds, from where will I get the seeds? Again, people think, where should I get the seeds from? But our kitchen is full of seeds. All these kardhanyas, that is legumes that you have, they are seeds of some plant from which they have come. Like for example, if you have rajma, if you sow rajma, you will get beans, means farasbi or French beans. Then if you sow chana, you will get chane ka jhaad. So chane ka plant can be used as a leafy vegetable, or it can also be used for harvesting chana. Fine. Similarly, you have matar. That matar you can grow in winters, not any other time. So a lot of these seeds are at home. Then apart from these, you have methi, which you can sow to get methi. Then you have dhania. Okay. Dhania is the dhane, which you use to grow coriander. Then you also have, if you know the vegetable called shepu, dill, then there is something called the bayan shape. In Marathi, it's called the bayan shepa, which you get at the grocery store. If you sow that, you will get shepu. So all these seeds are at home. Only you should know what are they going to get. But if you're a gardener from before, okay, I'll say that start growing dhania or dhania. But if you are going to start off listening to this for the first time, then I'd suggest that you don't go in for dhania, because dhania actually tries your patience. It does not germinate for say 8-10 days. So instead of that, you can start sowing methi. You can start sowing even in winters, like in November, October, November, you can start sowing sarson or rai. So when you sow rai or mohri, then you get sarson ka saag. So these are very simple things that you can sow, and they're all available in the kitchen. Okay. Now, if not seeds, you also have planting material available with you. Very often we see that onions, they start sprouting. You can see on the left hand side, the onions start sprouting greens. If you plant them in a pot, you will get at least, if you plant 4-5 of them, you can get a nice bunch of leafy greens of onions, but they will not give you onions. Okay. Planting an onion will not give you onions. They will only give you leafy greens, and they'll give you a nice flower. And from that flower, you can collect the seeds. And onion seeds are kalonji. Okay, kalonji that you use for tadka, that is the kalonji that you get from onions. Garlic, if you sow a single clove of garlic, you will get one whole pod of garlic. But for the garlic to sprout like this, I'll tell you a very simple trick. Take the whole pod of garlic and keep it in the refrigerator door. Okay, in the lower side refrigerator door. Remove it after 2 to 3 weeks, and the moment it comes out of that, it will start sprouting greens. Fine. So then you have to separate each and every club and start planting. So after a certain period, that one club becomes one whole gadda of garlic. Then you have arbi. Okay, arbi is also called arkudia in Marathi. So when you sow arbi, you get the colocasia leaves, patra. Sometimes, you bring home a vegetable and it is ripe, like especially karelas or pumpkins, kaddu, and the seeds are very ripe. And when you eat them, you feel that they're full. So if you sow those seeds, you get plants from them. But remember that these fruits that you're going to use, either karela or kaddu, they have to be fully ripe. You can't have it tender and use them. Because what happens is that you must have observed this. Kachi kairi, okay? Aam ki kairi, when you remove that gutli or the seed and you sow it, it doesn't sprout. But if you have a ripe mango and then you remove the seed and sow the ripe mango, the mango plant comes out of it. So whenever you're taking the seeds from a home brought vegetable, they have to be fully ripe. They should not be tender. So when they're fully ripe, that means they have the viable seeds. So the seeds can be washed like, tomato or papaya. If you take the seeds of that, they have a nice covering over them. So you have to remove that sticky covering from tomato and papaya leaves, and then you can plant them. And these seeds of karela or kaddu, you just have to wash them and plant them. But when you're planting seeds, again, even red chilies that you have, one chili will give you hundreds of plants. So in one pot, there will be only 2 plants. Once you plant them, there could be thousands of plants coming out of it. But what happens is that you don't have to retain those many plants. In one pot, you can have only 1 or 2 plants. Like I told you, in a 12-inch pot can accommodate only 1 to 2 plants. If you have more of them, then they will, they'll all remain small. There'll be so much competition amongst them that none of them will grow. So when you sow these seeds, you have to separate, just keep 2 of them. Rest of them, you can make more seedlings out of it, or you can, gift them to somebody. So you have to just keep 2 plants in one pot. Okay. Yeah, so these are walls that are sowed and pods like these came out of it. So you can harvest them when they're tender, or you can wait for them to become ripe and harvest them and remove the seeds out of it. Yeah. Now, what should I plant? A lot of people have this, I have this limited space. For me, because I have only 2 windows, I have to think about what I should plant. I have to plan. I can't be very ambitious. Like, I may like a lot of vegetables or I like a lot of things, but I have to plan what I think. So the first part of planning what I want is that start planting what you need every day in very small quantities. What is it that you require every day in very small quantities? Okay. So if I have to think for myself, I need chilies every day. I need kadi patta every day. I need dhania every day. I need pudina every day maybe, and that I require in small quantities. So if I have just one pot of all of these, one pot, then I think my requirement for that is quite sufficient. So that whatever is produced is quite sufficient for that. So accordingly, you have to decide what you want every day, and also will there be sunlight enough for them every day. Now, kadi patta is one plant. Even if you don't have enough sunlight, it will grow well. Okay. So kadi patta is something that we require. So only little bit of the patience initially is required, that when you bring a small kadi patta and you start planting it, you have to wait for it to grow. And then every day if you remove one leaf is good enough. So we can't, think of, so initially wait. But in case of kadi patta, sometimes it's also host plant for a very beautiful butterfly. So if the insect attack is there, I don't mind it, because again, I'm trying to bring nature into my window. So kadi patta is one. Mirchi. Okay, see, I have made a kokedama of a mirchi plant. It produces beautiful mirchis, and now it's in a pot, so it is growing bigger. But mirchi is something that you can think of. You can, actually grow a lot of mirchis in, you just have 2 plants and you will have, once it starts yielding, you get 8 to 10 mirchis per plant once in 2 days. And one more thing, like, if you have a small space, this is again one trick that I'm telling you, that larger the mirchi, the less spicy it will be. मतलब जितनी बड़ी मिर्ची होगी उतनी कम तीखी होगी. So in a small space, I'd rather grow a mirchi which is small in size, but it is very pungent. Okay. So I would not grow, I don't grow capsicum because, it doesn't yield as much, and I don't eat capsicums every day. But try to go in for a smaller mirchi because, then instead of 5 mirchis, you can just, only 2 would be sufficient. So mirchi is one thing. Yeah, this is my favorite plant. I grow arbi. These are the arbi leaves. So once you plant arbi, they start growing, and for 8 months, because say around November the leaves fade off and they just dry off, and then all of a sudden again in April the new plants, the leaves start coming. So arbi is, or aru is a very mineral rich vegetable. We always talk of palak being very rich in minerals, iron, but arbi is a very good vegetable for, especially, it's iron rich and a lot of minerals are there in this. So we can think of growing arbi, and it is not a very fussy vegetable. All it needs is to be fed every day. Fed every day in the sense that it has to have a rich compost and on it in a rich root. So it has to be grown in a very rich medium. Pudina is something that I love because it is not just, for chutneys, it can be a substitute to dhania also. And it flavors the food, and it's a very fast grower. The basic thing that I like about pudina is that you don't have to exert much, plant it once and keep chopping it, it goes back, it comes back, it comes back, it comes back. So you just have to plant it once and feed it well, then it feeds you also well. Yeah. So this is a small mini hydroponics. A lot of people are thinking, what can I grow in water? How can I start hydroponics? So pudina, I'll show you here, is a small stem of pudina that I have. So if you see in the picture, I have filled pebbles in the glass. So when you're trying to grow pudina, all you need is a small stick of pudina, and remove these lower leaves. Okay. And if you're going to fill it in a glass of water, don't fill it till the neck, fill it only in the lower part, and put something like pebbles. So the water is not exposed to the air. The water being exposed to the air can, cause mosquito breeding or something undesirable. So take a glass, fill it with pebbles, or you can even use little stones that you collect from outside, wash them and put them in the glass, and put this uh, pudina stem without the leaves. Whatever goes in the water should not have leaves. Okay, so I have allowed this part of the leaves to remain, but the lower leaves I have removed. There are no leaves here. This is the node from where the roots will sprout. So you can plant them, and when you plant them, they will ensure that the roots start coming and the plant is growing. So this, I have been growing this pudina in the water for the past 2 months now, and it's growing very well. So it's just in my window.
Hello. Hello.
Do not allow people to keep plants in the windows. So a lot of people complain to me that we want to grow plants, but the society doesn't allow. Tell us something that grows indoors also. So you can think of growing pan indoors, but keep indoors in the sense, keep it nearest to the place where the sun shines. So keep it near the window inside. And if you are going to fill it with a nice potting media of soil, manure, coco peat that doesn't give dirt. You know, a lot of people think that फिर अंदर रखेंगे फिर मिट्टी बाहर आएगी. तो मिट्टी बाहर आने के लिए there are some ways of not allowing soil or muddy water to come out. So it basically has that when you have the pot, you have to fill it with little stones. The lowest layer is filled with stones. Then a very good mixture of soil, 1 part, manure 1 part, compost 1 part, or coco peat 1 part. Mix it, and then you know, and don't overwater it. So the soil and the muddy soil won't come out. So this is one plant which I highly recommend to be planted. It can be planted indoors or near a window or in a window which does not get enough sunlight. So in the problem areas of where it doesn't get sunlight, it's a very, very good plant. Highly recommended. Yeah. This palak I've been growing for 2 years now. Okay. And it basically started with a seed. Now, and you can see the pot is smaller than a 12-inch pot. It's a very small pot. Now, what I do is the palak seeds you can plant, but just 2 plants in one small pot. And you generally the palak that you buy from the market is uprooted. Here, we need to only pinch the leaves. So whenever I need palak in small, very small quantities, I just pinch the leaves and the plant remains in this. So the center of the plant, now if you look at the picture, you'll see that the center is small, very small leaves. So that are allowed to remain, and the large leaves are removed. And I always say that the plant has to be fed every day, every day. I feed the plants every day. Now, how do I feed the plants every day? The water that I use, I never use tap water. The water that I use for plants is always the the water that is used to wash rice, the water that is used to wash dal, the first water when the milk pot is washed, the first water when the dahi pot is washed, the first water when the idli dosa batter pot is washed. So all these waters are collected in a bucket, and then we use that water for, and it's not just me, anybody in the house can be watering. So we always use this kind of water. So all these waters, now you know that milk contains milk contains proteins, and they contain amino acids, so that they are a good source of nitrogen for the plant. So when you're using this kind of water, then the plants are getting nitrogen rich water. Then all these have very good bacteria and fungi which are going to aid the growth of the plant. So when I say that you have to use compost, or you have to feed the plant, we are actually not feeding the plant, but we are feeding the microbes in the soil, which in turn are ensuring that the plant grows well. Okay? So make it a point at least once that you water the plants with the water that you wash the dal with, you wash the rice with, or you wash the vegetables with. Now, one thing again, I want to make it clear that in some homes, because of the corona scare, people use the vegetables, they wash the vegetables with salty water. They put some salt, or they put alum, or they put some vinegar. So please don't use that water. The plant's roots will die if the water is salty. So please don't use any saline water to water the plants. But this dal water and rice water, rice wash water, that's very good. And no salts, no salt. I'm again and again repeating that the water for watering the plant should not contain any salts. Yeah. Now, again, if I don't want to just grow leafy vegetables, or I already have kadi patta, I have lemongrass, I have all those things, then what? And I'm a little ambitious, and I want to grow real, sabzi, I want to grow real vegetables. Then again, I'd recommend that instead of growing the normal chota bangan, you should go in for bharte ka bangan, because if a plant is going to yield 2 or 3 bangans at a time, then they might as well be bharte ka bangan, because I would require that much only. Okay, when I'm talking of myself, if I have to make sabzi, I need at least 15, because my family is large, 15 to 20 bangans. Okay, so that would be quite a number. So I'll have to, all my balconies should be filled with only bangans. Now people ask me that my favorite vegetable is bhindi. Can I grow bhindi? I said, for fancy novelty, yes, you can grow bhindi. But if you want to grow, if you require a kg of bhindi, then you might have to plant around 20 to 30 plants, because bhindi yields only one bhindi per plant per day. So you'll have to collect, so you'll have to, so that's how we decide that which plant should I grow. So depending, if you have a large terrace, then please go ahead, plant bhindi. You can have bhindi ki kheti. But if you are someone like me who has a very limited space, then I think you have to go in for a plant. You have to go in for a plant like bharti ka bangan, or something that gives more produce in one pot. Karela is my favorite. Like I told you, we always think of Karela as, we look at it as with a bitter plant or something. But the plant itself is very pretty. It's a very, very beautiful plant. It has very pretty leaves, and it bears very small flowers, yellow colored flowers. A lot of bees and butterflies visit those flowers. So, and again, there are some problem areas, especially in cities, we have these problem areas that the neighboring house is very nearby, and then there is a see-through kind of an arrangement, like whatever is happening in our house, the neighbors can see, and we don't want to close the windows all the time. So planting something like Karela becomes a natural screen. Karela is a very, very fast growing, Karela bitter gourd is a very fast growing one. So when it grows very fast, then it has those very pretty green leaves, and it has those very pretty yellow flowers, and it's greening your place. And the bonus is that you get to eat Karelas. And again, one thing I always say, that people who have little children, we always complain that children are disconnected with nature, or they're always on their iPads or something like that. So you have to bring the children to the nature. Planting seeds is such a miracle. The plant, you plant a seed, and then this little plant comes out, and then it's growing, then it's covering up the whole place, and then it's bearing flowers, bearing fruits. So children look forward to such seeds. So they would rush home when they come from school. They would rush home and see how the plant is doing well. So this is the best way to connect children to nature. It's the best way to imbibe the love of nature in the kids when they start planting themselves. Then you can ask them, what should we plant next? So it becomes their garden, and then automatically they get into the process. So Karela, and it's not difficult to find seeds of Karela. When you go to the bhaji wala, sabji wala, you see that there are some ripe Karelas, which turn yellow, and they have those ripe, beautiful red seeds in them. Bring those seeds home, wash them, and plant them. It's very simple. And within 90 days, you start getting the Karelas out of it. We planted Dudhi, we planted Lauki also. But later on, I discontinued planting Lauki, because, Lauki, the vines start growing outside. Like we have the pigeon problems. So we planted, and we also have a lot of squirrels coming to the garden. So what if the Dudhi or Lauki falls from the 10th floor? So when we are looking at what to plant, we also have to give a major consideration to safety of the people around, because a lot of societies have complaints against people who gardening, because we are responsible for it, because we pour the water overflows, there's somebody going down, and then he gets wet. So we have to be very, very particular about how we garden, and we have to be, first thing, safety. And whatever we are trying to grow, we have to ensure that it is safe. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk something about microgreens. Okay. Microgreens is a topic that is fast catching up. If you see wherever, you will see microgreens. Now, microgreens, I'll just tell you what microgreens basically are. Microgreens are very tender sprouted plants which are harvested in just a few days after they've sprouted. So they're micro and they're greens. So they're not, now it can be, I'm sure people who are from Mumbai know that Samudra Methi that you get on the station. There are people who are setting Samudra Methi. So that is the microgreen that we have. So Samudra Methi, if you've ever had it, it has an intense flavor. It has it's very tasty, it's very bitter, but you require it in very small quantities. And you can, so similarly, you can grow microgreens. That samudra methi now is not available because you can't go and to the station, or you can't go and the normal bhajiwalas don't sell it. So you can actually start growing that. So it's ready within 7 days. So first day you soak the seeds, or a teaspoon of seeds. Then the next day you rinse them and plant them very densely in a small glass or cup which has some coco peat or soil compost mixed in it. Cover them, plant them, water them gently with a spray of water. And it is so fast that on the third day you'll see little plants coming up, and then a mad rush to grow because they're planted so densely, they start growing tall. And on the seventh day you can just harvest it. So you can use a whole lot of seeds from your kitchen for that. You can use rai or mohri, then you can use methi, you can use all these legumes. So I love to eat chauri microgreens, but they're intensely sweet and they have that very succulent texture. So try these. This is a first thing. If there's only one takeaway from this, it would be the microgreens. Start growing microgreens. They're very easy and very nice to grow. And yeah, I also grow a lot of fruits. Now that I have entered all the windows, I've captured all the windows. All the pineapples that we eat at home, we just cut them like this. Can you see this? The pineapple has been cut just a little below, and then you cut it. I have dipped it in a little ash because it should not decompose, and then I plant it in the pot. Okay, so when it starts growing, the plant grows from here, and the pineapple is formed. Comes from here, but you have to wait for say 1.5 months or 1.5 years, or 18 months typically. So what have one side, just don't let pineapple be the first plant that you planted in the garden. Let it be along with the other thing, because the patience goes, because you have to wait for say 2 years. So but every time you go to the fruit wala and you're buying a pineapple, at least for your pineapple top, the crown, you should come and plant it. If you have a pot, good, or if you have a garden in the society there, but make sure that you plant it, because otherwise whole life of that pineapple is just going to the municipal dumping ground. So try this. It's a very successful crop. It doesn't require. Sometimes we go out on a holiday for 10 days or something, and then we are worried about the plants. So even when I'm worried, I'm least worried about the pineapple, because it's a very sturdy plant. Even if it goes for a drought period, it survives. So the moment I come back, I water it, starts growing again. Yeah. So this is how the pineapple grows and looks. And when the pineapple is ripened, when it is still attached to the plant, it is intensely sweet. It's very, very sweet. Yeah, this gave a good size also. And the best thing about growing pineapples is that the pigeons don't trouble me. So if people say that we have a problem of pigeons, then I said, and what should I grow? I say pineapples. The pigeons don't like this plant because it has these, if you notice that it has those little thorn structures. So if you plant those pineapples, and the pigeons, you will not have a pigeon problem. Yeah. This year I was very, very successful in growing strawberries. I had a bumper crop of strawberries, which I allowed squirrels to eat. But yeah, so you can even think of growing strawberries in the pot. You need 4 to 5 hours of sunlight and a small pot. Again, I use all kinds of waters from the kitchen to water it, and all kind of compost from the kitchen to add fertilizer to it. So you can start off growing strawberries, a very good. But for growing strawberries, I have never grown them from seeds, but you need to get those small plantlets which are available in the nursery, and start growing it. This is not even a 12-inch pot, it's a small hanging pot that I've grown. And already this year, on the plant now are 7 strawberries. One simple thing to grow is again the muskmelon, the kharbooj. easy to grow, but I have discontinued growing it because it attracted a lot of squirrels, and I didn't want a kharbooj to fall on somebody's head from the top. So again, safety, safety, safety. Yeah. I have a problem, and I'm sure most of the people in Mumbai have a problem of pigeons. Okay, so now I can't keep complaining about pigeons coming and they break the plants and everything. So the pigeon shit is a very good manure. Okay, you don't if you are going to use pigeon shit, then you don't need to use any other manure. Yeah, so but only that it is very hot in the sense people say बहुत गर्म होता है, तो गर्म होना है, गर्म होता है actually means that it's releasing a lot of nitrogen, and that nitrogen in the form of uric acid, and that becomes too much for the plant to digest. The plant starts scorching because of it. So the rule is that when you're going to use this pigeon shit, just 1 teaspoon for a pot of 12-inch size once a week. That's it. And you're not just going to put it on the soil like that. You have to dig it, and you have to put it inside the soil. So let it decompose and then release the nutrients to the field. Another thing, pigeon shit could also contain a lot of seeds of jawar, bajra, gehu, or whatever the feed has been put. So you have to, you can just uproot whatever comes out, the weeds, and put it back into the soil. So when you uproot the plants and put them, all the weeds, and put them back into the soil, they actually enrich the soil with the nutrients, and they add the organic carbon to the soil. So the soil becomes very good when you just uproot the plants and put them back into the soil. Okay. One feed that I always give my plants at least once in 2 weeks is the chas. Now, what is chas? It is dahi diluted 4 times. So if I have taken dahi and I have diluted it and again diluted it and diluted it, and this I spray on my plants. Okay, so when you spray on the plants become very healthy. And when I put it on the roots, and they look the leaves look very lustrous, and they really, fortunately, I have never had a problem of insects attacking my plants because my plants are well looked after with things like this from the kitchen. So chas is also a very good fungicide. So, sometimes you have problems of fungus. So you can dilute the chas, strain it. Don't keep the dahi wala thing. Strain it and dilute it and put it as a water to the roots of the plant, and also spray it on the leaves. Spraying on the leaves is a very fast mode of the plants getting the nutrients. If you put it to the roots, then from the soil it has to go to the plant, and from the plant it has to go to the leaves. So spraying, you are directly putting on the source that requires it. Okay, so chas is a very, very good, most recommended feed for the plants. This is the garbage enzyme that I make. Now, garbage enzyme basically is, that you must have read that the bananas that we eat, we only use the pulp, but we throw off the most important part, which is the peels. And banana peels contain a lot of potassium. Now, potassium is one element which is very good for building the quality in plants. Okay, so if you have a plant growing and you want it to be immune, you want the immunity to be built in the plant, or you want the plant to have beautiful flowers of a very good quality, then the rich soil should be rich in potassium. So it's a very good element for, so banana peels, basically, you can chop it and dig the soil little and put it in the pot. They decompose very fast. So people have a problem that what if flies come to the plants? So that's why dig it and then put it in the plant. I always make this garbage enzyme. Now, garbage enzyme is basically take the peels, 1 part of sugar, 3 parts of peels of either banana or pineapple or citrus fruits, and chop them. Put 1 part, if for 3 parts of peels, I use 1 part of sugar and 10 parts of water. Okay, and then I allow it to ferment. So when it ferments, it gives a beautiful smell of banana, citrus, or pineapple. I don't use watermelon for it. I don't use muskmelon. And then it starts fermenting. Okay, and it is ready to be used. They say scientifically it should be used after 3 months, but I don't have that much patience, so I use it from the first month of making. That again, what you extract, that has to be in a airtight bottle. You have to ferment it for 3 months and then, or 1 month, and then dilute it and spray it on the plant. It has this beautiful fragrance. It has a beautiful aroma of the fruits, especially the citrus ones are very beautiful to smell, and that you can spray on the plants. The plants really like it. Okay, so it is like giving tonic to the plants. It's a beautiful plant tonic, and my plants grow very well with that. You can try this. It's, yeah. The plant protection. Now, how do I protect my plants? What if my plants are infected? Fortunately, they are not infected, but I don't need to use it. But when people ask me what should I have some insects on my plants, the easiest thing is from that you find at home is use chilies and garlic. There are other combinations also. You can use, uh, haldi, or you can use ginger, but chili and garlic, or you can use neem leaves. But chili garlic is something that is available in all houses. You have to dip these chilies and garlic, crush them, dip them in water, and let them be there. So for 1 cup of water, you can put the paste or the thecha of chili garlic, soak it in water, and the next day, either you boil it or you just remove it like that, strain it, and dilute it again 10 times, 1 cup of water, dilute it 10 times and spray on the plants. When you're making that spray ready, you have to just put a little, a few drops of shampoo, or you have to put a few drops of detergent, liquid detergent, like you have that liquid detergent. Mix it well by stirring it, and then spray it on the plants. This is a very good. And if you have, if you have this problem of mealy bugs on your hibiscus or jaswanda, you can spray it even before the infection. So if you have sprayed it before the infections, then the insects attacking won't come. Okay. So this is a very good way of protecting your plants. This is like one medicine. And it also, if you spray it before the actual infection, it will act as a retardant. So I swear by this, because I have seen a lot of people who had problems with this. But make sure that you put a little shampoo in that. The shampoo makes the medicine stick to the plant. Otherwise, it just flows off. Yeah. So this is in brief about my presentation. I would now request you to start asking me questions, or if Gauri and Shreya have some questions, they can go ahead with it. Thank you so much. Shreya, Gauri. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anjana. So
Thank you, Shreya.
I
Yeah.
will just give it on to the Gauri so that she will start asking question to Gauri.
Yeah. I'll stop sharing now so that I can, if there's questions, then I can reply. So am I seeing full screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you can ask me questions.
Thank you so
I
much.
always say, ask me simple questions. Ask me simple questions that I can reply.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anjana. That was really amazing. I mean, I never imagined growing so many things in such a small place. And you have really encouraged me to do that.
Oh, good, good. Like I said, there's a mini nature trail in my house. There are 52 species.
Sure, we'll be conducting one in your house for sure, I guess.
Most welcome.
Anyway, some questions now.
Yeah.
We had some good questions coming.
Yeah.
First question was from Rupali. What would be the portion or the frequency of putting culture on gathered waste? And what will be the proportion?
Yeah. See, I don't know whether she has a culture. Now, culture could be your past, I would have started from compost made in somebody's house. Okay. So, Rupali, you would be using a kitchen waste. And along with the kitchen waste, you should also be using something like dry mass. It could be browns like dry leaves, or some sawdust or something brown. okay, which is not from the kitchen. So typically the leaves that are fallen or plant leaves. Now this makes you actually don't require to use the culture again and again, because the culture is growing, the culture is the bottommost layer. But if you want to hasten up the thing, then you can just put a little culture once in a while, say once a week, that's it. And the culture, if you're going to use something like dahi, or you're going to use something like milk, or you're going to use you have to ensure that it is not very watery. So the whole compost bin should not become full of water. It should be very lightly, because the greens from the kitchen already have 70% water in them. Just sprinkle it once a week. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. There's one more question. Which vegetable can we grow now? Like today, as like in this
Yeah.
situation, as you know, a lot of people don't get leafy vegetables.
Yes.
So this
So
probably aiming for that.
yeah, so that's why I said now you can start growing something like methi, because that is, or if I tell you lal mat is something, I personally, I have started growing all these leafy vegetables, but I'm making a provision for the rainy season, because in rainy season you don't get, in the monsoons you don't get very good leafy vegetables, and you're very little skeptical about which leafy vegetables can I buy, and then sometimes people say that earthworms come in. But now the seed availability would be a problem. So if she wants to start growing, you can start putting chauri. Chauri is one seed, the black-eyed beans that every house has it. If you sow that, the leaves also can be eaten. The fresh leaves are edible. Or methi is something that become, but only in this season, methi doesn't grow very well as it grows in the winters. So probably whatever seeds you have in the kitchen, because nursery shops are not yet open to get the seed. So whatever is available in the kitchen, start growing. In fact, you can even put dhania, if dhania is available. But only dhania, you have to crush it, not in the mixer, but by just put a balan on it and slightly roll it, and one dhania becomes 2 pieces that you can sow. But again, wait, they require at least 10 days for it to start germinating. Yeah.
Okay. There is another question. Which vegetable can be grown in a shady area?
Yeah.
Like we are not getting enough sunlight.
Yeah, so in see, all leafy vegetables come very well in. They'll only slant, they'll go towards the sun, but they grow. So all leafy vegetables can be grown there. I wonder if they know mayaru. Mayaru, that is the Malabar spinach, is an excellent vegetable. Again, it's full of nutrients, and it also has anthocyanin, the pigment, red anthocyanin. And it grows well. It actually requires less sunlight. So arbi, that is aru, is one. Palak is another. Mayaru is another. Kadipatta also requires less sunlight. But fruits, the far bhaja, or the fruit-bearing vegetables, they basically require a lot of sunlight. So I wouldn't recommend that growing those vegetables.
Okay. There's one more question. How can we grow lemongrass or chai patti?
Okay.
In our
Yeah. So if you know somebody who is already growing lemongrass at home, I'll show you. I have a little plant that I can show you. Okay. Now, can you see this plant? From here, the lemongrass, when it is growing in somebody's house, you can just remove a small thing of it with roots and then plant it. Okay.
Okay.
This portion, the plant has to be uprooted, and even if it is not uprooted, you have to remove it from here. So the plant grows by separation. It has to be separated like this from the down with some roots, and then it has to be planted. So it should have roots below. And when can you see the roots here? You have to bring something like this, then chop off the top of it. So when I have to plant it, I'll have to chop this, make it like this, and then plant. Don't water it too much. Initially, don't water it too much, because when you start watering it too much, then this may start decomposing. So in the first week, don't water it, keep it moist, but don't overwater. And then it grows. So I have tried to grow it in a self-watering pot. So it's in a self-watering pot. You can see from here. Sometimes the water is more, sometimes it becomes less. So I'm just experimenting still in something like hydroponics.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the pot size required for pineapple and the sunlight requirement if you want to
Yeah,
grow them?
sunlight requirement is good. It needs to have good sunlight. And pot size, minimum 12-inch, maximum good if you have a larger pot, but 12-inch is sufficient. I've always grown pineapples in 12-inch pot.
Okay.
Sunlight, yes, it requires sunlight.
Okay. What should be the proportion of dilution factor to make a chas to give
Yeah.
it to the plant?
First chas should be dahi. Make it, put 4 times water. If you take 1 cup of dahi, minimum you have to put 4 glasses of water, and it should be very thin, and then it has to be strained. So 1 glass of dahi, if you're going to take 1 katori of dahi, then you have to take minimum 4 katoris of water, mix it well and strain it, because if you don't strain it, then it chokes this, because you're going to spray it, then it chokes this whole thing. You can just spray it. So this is the best way to use it. You have to spray it on the plant.
Okay, there's another one.
Yeah.
Is coffee good for plants?
Uh, I use tea. So tea is very good for plants. Good that you asked this question, because the tea leaves that you have, similarly, if they're making the decoction coffee, then it's very good for plants. In fact, the Starbucks chain distributes all that coffee, the strained coffee. So chai is very good. I'm sure coffee is also very good. But it should not be concentrated again. You have to spread it. It should get mixed with the soil.
Okay, okay. I think this question is regarding to the chili and garlic spray that you said. Does it always help with aphids as well?
Does it? No, I didn't
Helps
get the
with
question.
aphids. Like sometimes aphids,
Yeah,
those
aphids,
small
aphids.
insects that
Yes,
we
yes,
get.
yes, yes. Okay. Now, chili garlic works very well aphids, but since you have this problem of aphids, make chili garlic water and add little shampoo to it. Okay. Now, what happens is that shampoo foams and it chokes the aphids. So the aphids basically can't breathe and then they die. And when you have aphids on the plants, it means that the aphids are spreading via ants. So you have to control the ants also. Don't let ants, and people think that if I'm going to put something sugary, the ants are going to come to the plants. Aphids don't fly. So these ants are basically, aphids actually feed the ants and the ants. So there's a lot of symbiosis between the ants and the aphids. So don't let the ants are very dangerous to the plant. So best thing to do is to take a bottle, put that chili garlic water, put little shampoo. You can put little more shampoo, but don't, shake it and make a foamy mass. Just stir it and then spray on the plants. And if you control the aphids in the beginning itself, then you don't have to be frightened of them. But if they spread, then it becomes very difficult to control.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was another question on chili and garlic ratio.
Yeah.
I
So yeah, if you have to make 1 cup, say 1:1 proportion is good. Red chilies, red pungent chilies, not that Kashmiri mirchi, but that tikhat mirchi, the very pungent one, and with garlic. 1:1. Make 1 cup. Put it in 1 cup of water. When you have, and you can make that mixture and keep. Okay, the mixture, and whenever there is an insect attack, dilute it 10 times. So if it's just one plant that you want to spray in and you just need 10 ml, so just take 1 ml of that and use it.
Okay.
So 1:10 proportion. Yeah.
1:10 is the proportion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question: can we use all kitchen waste? I think it's probably for making the composting.
Yeah.
For pineapple.
What for pineapple?
Can we use all kitchen waste or only banana peel for pineapples?
Okay.
It is mentioned as pineapple.
No, he probably wants to know that for the garbage enzyme.
Right.
I use it for banana. I use for garbage enzyme. I use banana. I use lemon. I use orange. I use pineapple. And I have not yet tried mango. But because mango, you don't have pulp, you only have the peels. So, but you can use these. But I do not use watermelon. I do not use kharbooj.
Oh,
But rest of the fruits you can use, whatever fruits are there.
okay. Okay. Another question which I think we all get whenever we are out of our house for say
Yeah.
about a week or a month, and how to take care of our plants, especially if we are out for a week,
Yeah,
and how to
that
water
becomes a
them.
big problem.
Yes.
So there fortunately there is this self-watering systems now.
Okay.
You can start using self-watering pots,
Mhm.
but the water of the pot should not be exposed to the air. The moment the water of the pot is exposed to air, then it becomes a breeding ground for mosquitoes. So one option is, but you can't think of that I'm going for a week now, so all my pots. So initially only when you're starting, you can start off in self-watering pots. That is one option.
Okay.
Okay. Second, if you can have those watering systems which are timer based. A lot of people have you just buy the system and it is attached to every pot, and it is like you control it. The water, when you switch from, even from your mobile, when you switch, I have seen that system works so excellent for people. I always wonder how they get time. So they said from the mobile we control it, but there's little automation, so you have to spend little and start growing that. uh, a lot of people see for 2-3 days it is okay, that you water the plant, and I have a bottle, I have a nozzle which I insert and keep. And also depends on the season. So if you're going out in summer, none of the system works well. But if you're going in monsoon, again in monsoon you don't water the plant so much, so you can go out and this thing. Winter also is not a problem, but summers is a problem. I personally don't think that a wick system works very well. Uh, they put a bath kind of thing, a wick in the pot, and then that doesn't work very well. The best is have good relations with the neighbors who will come and water the plant.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I think people want to know more about bioenzyme from fruit peels. Explain again about the bioenzyme from fruit peels.
Should I tell you once again? I'll just repeat the process. Now I have this bottle. Okay,
Hmm.
this is a bottle which has a big mouth. I always insist on I'm not taking this kind of a bottle. I'm taking this kind of bottle, which is like a burning. Okay, and then in this I have 1 part of sugar or jaggery and 3 parts of banana peels or citrus or whichever peels I want, and 10 parts of water. Okay, now this lid, initially in the first 3 days, you have to be very careful that a lot of gas will be coming out. So you have to just keep it slightly open, not keep it fully open, because if you keep it fully open, then the flies and all will come. Just keep it slightly open. And when it is kept slightly open, the gases will flow. And then you have to, after 3 to 4 days, you have to close the lid, right? And then it starts fermenting inside. So once it starts fermenting, now this is all this peels would come on the top, and there will be a clear liquid below. So that clear liquid has to be strained, and then you can use it to water the plants, or you can use it even to spray on the plants. It can be used as a, even like phenyl that we use. So it's a very good enzyme which takes care of all the plant requirements. Yeah,
Okay.
Gauri? Yeah.
Yes. Methi seeds that we grow in home, will they
Yeah.
be like microgreens or like normal size methi that we get in the market?
See, now microgreens and methi is the same. It is the same plant, but it's harvested at different stages. So if you're going to grow for microgreens, you have to plant it very densely and harvest it on the 7th day. But if I want to have normal methi, I would not put too many seeds in a small pot, and I'll harvest on the 30th day. So the seeds are the same, but the stage of harvesting is different. It could be 7th day or it could be 30th day. It's like that. but the seeds are same.
Okay. Okay. Then another, I think this is the last question.
Yeah.
How to prevent water seeping from the pot onto the floor or say
Yeah.
below?
Okay. That's
This-
very important question. We generally, watering is one thing that we don't think of. We just think of, bucket liya and we start pouring water. Now, what happens is that when we are putting over watering, that means water seeping out of the pot means you are over watering. Now, when you overwater, then the society, if you're growing in a society, then the society has problems that your water falls and then somebody gets wet or it's not good for the building and all that. So don't overwater. First thing, don't let water seep out of the pot. That means you have to water, and once you start growing plants, uh, uh, you you know, अंदाज आ जाता है कि कितना पानी लगता है. So you know that a plant requires this much water, just water that much. Another big thing about overwatering is that all the minerals most of the minerals that are in the soil are water soluble, especially nitrogen. It is so water soluble, so when you water it and water flows out of the pot, it is taking a lot of minerals. So like, when we sweat, we feel so exhausted because we have lost so many minerals, and that's why we have to take nimbu pani, or we have to take sugar water, salt water. That's how, when overwatered, the water flows out of the pot taking a lot of minerals. So first thing, you have to prevent this. That means you have to water, कायदे से पानी डालो, बहुत ज्यादा पानी मत डालो. So you have to put water less. When you water less, also once in a while you can allow the water. If again, when I say water less, it means that you don't have to, the requirement of the plant, but the water should be enough to go up till the lowest level. If the water does not go to the lowest level of the pots, then the ants know that this pot is safe for me to live, and then they start burrowing in the and start making nests. So you have to first start observing how much water when I pour. It's like a science experiment. How much water when I pour, it will fill the pot, but it will not drain out. Okay, so do that. Little you have to pour, and little. Again, it depends on which season. Summers the plants require more. Winters you should not be watering too much because the plants are little in the rest mode. And monsoons require only water when the plants demand water.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, but there are a few more questions. Two more. Okay.
Yeah.
It's about the how to control on rats and the snails. Sometimes you get those small snails.
Yes. Snails, yes, we might. Rats. First, we'll deal with rats. I have no question. I have no answer. I have no answer for three questions. How to control pigeons? I have no control for rats, and I have no control for squirrels. I'm living with those problems.
Okay.
Yeah. But snails, yes. Now, snails, that means, when you have a lot of snails, that means the soil is too moist. Okay. When the soil is not very well drained, then you have this. It is an indicator basically. Snails is an indicator that the soil is not churned properly and that the soil is too moist. So you have to, there should be a proper mixture. We just talk of compost and we talk, but there should be a proper mixture of air and water in the soil. Okay, that is in locally it is called VAPSA. VAPSA basically means a good optimum mixture of soil moisture. But if the soil is always damp, it is not, the drainage is poor, then you start having the problem of soils. So the basic, what I have done is, if you put it, the best thing is that put a fermenting fruit in the pot at night.
Okay.
It should be fermenting, and especially that chiku and all, which is fermenting. You should actually get the smell of fermentation in that. And you put that in the night, all the tiny snails will come and attack that fruit. So lift that fruit with all those tiny snails, and even big ones, even the slugs come. So just remove it and destroy it. That's
that is
the easiest and simplest way to do it. Easiest way to do it. Because chemicals are too bad, we have those metaldehydes and all, which I wouldn't recommend for home gardening.
Okay. Another question about Gauti Chaha, lemongrass,
Yeah.
whether it should be kept in the shade or in a sunlight.
See, it's basically a grass. Okay,
Right.
so it requires full sunlight. It requires good sunlight.
Okay.
And another thing is that when you grow all these plants like pudina, and they will grow, but when you want that intense flavor, they require full sunlight for the flavor to develop. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
so maximum now if they are growing in a going to grow it in a place where in the north it will grow. But again, one more thing, that when you're growing it in the north where there is less sunlight, you have to water it less. You have to water it less, because this grass, especially Gauti Chaha, it cannot tolerate lot of dampness in it. So grasses, like it is like that typical grass.
Okay. Yeah, everybody has said thank you.
Yes, thank you very
To you.
much.
It was very informative session.
Yes.
I have one question about the flowers, like any edible flowers that we have, indigenous edible flowers that we have and
Oh
can be
yes,
grown.
there are a lot of flowers that you can actually grow. If edible in the sense, the mustard that I grow, one of my favorite plants in my garden is the mustard, the rye. Okay, so in winters when I grow it for the patti, but whole year round I keep growing mustard because it attracts a lot of bees. Okay, the small stingless bees. It's a very good plant to attract small stingless bees. And yesterday was the bee day, so we actually need to do something for the bees around us. And the flowers are very beautiful. Flowers are very. We generally, we decorate food with kotimbir or cobra or something like that, the nariyal or something. But it's these pretty flowers of sunflower are very good to decorate the food, and they also give that very once when it comes in your mouth, it gives that like taste bomb. Yeah, it's very tangy, and it adds punch to the food. One flower is that Sesbania Agasti. Sesbania Agasti flowers. They're also very nice, but they can't grow in the window. Like if you have a balcony, then you could grow it, and it's very fast growing. So you plant the seeds now. They are in some pods like that. You plant the pods, and within a year's time they start flowering, and they have those huge big flowers. Okay. And those flowers you can use to make. We typically, because we don't get tomato, we make bhaji out of it. But they are very good for making vegetables also.
Okay.
So flowers, yes, I would recommend growing flowers.
Yes.
Multi-purpose, no? So
right.
Yeah.
So some of them have asked if we could see your garden. I think I can answer that question. If Anjana allows, we can keep a nature trail.
Of course you can. I would invite you to for a nature trail. Somebody asked Aparajita Gokarna. Yes, you can make Gokarna tea. It's very good. Even I make that Gokarna tea.
Yeah, and
that's very medicinal also.
Yeah,
and one more about the Gokarna tea. Somebody said about the Gokarna tea. It's like I always want to show children the magic of plants and the miracles of plants. So when you make that Gokarna tea, it is blue in color, but the moment you put little nimbu pani or something, it becomes pink because the pH changes. So that's a very good thing for children to do it, and show them the miracles of plants. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, I think we have answered almost all the questions, but there was one more, one person, Anji, was like, the question was a little bigger. So I think if you could share your email ID here, if people have more questions, they can contact you directly. Is it okay?
Can I write it on the chat box?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
No, this is coming privately.
Okay, you can, share it
to everyone. No, I'll share it to everyone.
Yes, you have to share it with everyone. And meanwhile, let me tell you, the recording will be available on YouTube, but we have to edit it a bit, and then we will put it on our YouTube and share your emails with us. Yeah, we can see your email ID. It's okay. Yeah. So if our email ID is oikosense@gmail.com. gmail.com. If you could share your just say hi or a blank message, so we can send you the link for the YouTube channel, and you can see it whenever you want. The wonderful letter that was delivered by Anjana.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed
Thank
it
you
also.
so much. Yes, thank you so much, Anjana. Next talk will be on grasses that will be delivered by Dr. Alok Tsorge. He has done his PhD on grasses of Odisha. So that's going to be a very informative session. It will be on Sunday, this coming Sunday, 24th at 5:30. So do join us for that. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.